Welcome to part 2. This episode I'm going to create the enemy, set up aiming at the enemy with an animation, apply damage, destroy the enemy, and also how to actually pick up weapons. So the first thing we're going to do, I've already imported an animation from Mixamo. I'm just using this pistol idle one, just a simple one. So we're going to set up the actually holding a button down to aim, because at the moment we just left click and shoot. So to do that, we want to create a new input action. So for me, it's third person input and then actions. We're going to create one. We can use jump and call it IA_aim. Just check the settings. Pressed and released. Yep. So then we need to add it to the IMC. So that will be IA_aim. For me, I'm just going to use right click. Okay, so on the player, we can do IA_aim. And then what we want to do is we're going to create a new enum, because this is going to hold what state we're currently in. Like, what are we doing? This is going to create. So we're going to create a new enum. This is going to hold what state the character is in. Like, are we walking? Are we inspecting? Are we doing something? So I'm going to do blueprint enumeration. I'm going to call it E_player state. By default, we'll just have like a normal state. And then we can have one for, we'll call it aiming. There's different ways of doing this. I'm just going to show this for now. To set like what the player is doing, what it's not doing. So we do E_state. No, what did I call it? Player state. E_player state. We will get a reference to that. Player state. Current player state. So now we have the input action and we have our player state. What we can do is we can now, when we right click, we can set the player state to aiming, right? And then when we've completed or cancelled, we can set it back to normal. So if I do a print string and we go like this and this, and then I can just put these in just to test. So if I right click aiming, and then because we use in the jump one, it's actually completed. So aiming, normal, aiming, normal. So now we have this. We can go into the animation class, or the animation of the character. And we're actually going to get a reference to the blueprint state and use that to change the animation. So this is from a previous project, which is why this blueprint thread safe is here. If you don't have it, you can click override and click on it. But in here, we have these, we can get a property access, which means we don't have to keep doing like on event tick, constantly checking the variables to make sure everything's okay. In this, it will make sure it's nice and safe and it won't cause any issues. So from this bind, we want to get the character. So for me, it's BP Retro Horror. And I'm going to get the current player state. There we go. I'm going to promote that to a variable, sorry. And we could call this player state. Okay. So now in the anim graph, what we can do is we can add a new state to this. So there we are idle. What we want to do is pull off here and add a state. And we can call it aiming. Right? We can also do one from walk and run, because if we're walking and then we aim, we still want the animation to swap. The return will be back to idle, that we are no longer. So what we do here in this, this is what you need to feed in so it can change. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the player state, and we're going to say equals enum aiming, right? So then what we can do now is same on this one. We can do player state equal aiming. Yep. And then the return will be player state equal enum normal, or whatever else you want to have. So now when we are aiming our play state, we will play this animation. The animation we want to play here, if we look in the asset browser, is idle. Why isn't that showing up here? Let's see. Oh, I set this to the wrong skeleton. So if you ever have this where you have an animation and it's the wrong skeleton, you can right click, retarget animations, and then pick the correct one. I picked the old skeleton and I actually wanted Manny. So I want the pistol idle and export, and then we can just export it there and overwrite the old one. There we go, we got pistol idle now. So now I can use pistol idle like this. Okay. So now if we test, if I right click, we're in aim mode. Okay? But we can still move around, which is something we don't want. If we're playing like a Resident Evil type thing where we stand still, we just want to be able to move left and right, not walk forward and backwards. So to do that, in your player character, and for me it's retro horror, what we want to do is on this movement here, we want to do a branch. We want to get the current player state, and if that is equal enum to aiming, because you might have other ones here, for example, we want to false will go into this, but there's oh, I put it in the wrong spot, sorry. This will go over here for the forward and backwards. So we'll hijack this node here. Same logic. False goes into movement input. The true will do nothing. We just stay still. So if we try it now, if I aim, I can move left and right, but I can't move forward and backwards. But if I let go, there we go. So now if I aim, I can no longer move forward. As soon as I let go of aiming, I can walk again. I can only turn left and right. So that's our aiming animation done. The other thing we need to do is to move this weapon so it follows the hands. So because we've parented this to the mesh, we can click the parent socket and we can click a part of the skeleton. I think there is a hand. Yeah. So we have hand IK gun. So if you can see it's now pointing down and it's away, you can just reset the location and the rotation. So now the gun will actually be on the hand. Now obviously we can't see it, It's facing the wrong way. So what we want to do here is on the weapon, we want to just rotate it round. So it would be, oops. If I do that to minus 180. Now if we see, there we go, now we're facing forward. Obviously, when you do this and you have your actual models in, then you would make sure that it's facing the correct way. And then you could do, instead of doing the trace like I have, you would do it from a socket on the weapon. So now we have this where, so we can aim into a location. Now the issue we have is we can just fire no matter what. So we need to fix that. And the way we do that is on the left mouse button where we do the attack, all we need to do is get the player state, and then we can equals, and then aiming, branch. If it's true, we do the attack. Okay, so now if we do it, if I left click, nothing happens. But if I aim, now I can shoot. So that's that part. The next thing we need to make is an enemy, so we can test it out. So in my folder, I'm going to do a enemy folder. We want to actually create the character now, the enemy. So we're going to create a character which allows the AI to walk around. So I'm going to call it BP_test enemy. And what we're going to do is we're going to set the character mesh to be, we will use the Quinn character because it's different from ours, and we'll just make it in the right spot like that. There we go. We're facing the correct way. Yep. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to make an interface for the enemy. So we can do blueprint interface and BPI_enemy. This. And in here we can do take damage. Right. And what we want to add is 2 inputs. We want to add an integer for the damage. Sorry, we want to float because we were using float. And we want an actor reference. And this is going to be the attack originator. So this is whoever attacked the NPC. And this is going to be the damage that we're going to deal. So now we have that. We need to implement that to the enemy. So we can call BPI_enemy. I have 2 because of the tutorial I made earlier. So I'm going to call this BPI horror enemy. And then, so there we go. And then what we can do is we have this take damage. We can create a variable of, it would be float because we've got the damage coming in as float. So we can type enemy health. So now we have this and we have the health. What we want to do is we want to set the enemy health to enemy health minus the damage. Right. And then we can clamp this just to avoid any issues. So the maximum health will be the minimum will be 0 and the max will be the enemy starting health. So we can promote that to a variable and then go enemy max health. So for my enemy, let's say we do 100. And then we can set. And what to do next is a branch. And on this branch, we will say if, or branch, well, we will do if the health is less or equal to 0, we're going to do a check to see if we are valid. Is valid. If we are valid, this is where you would run your logic for the enemy dying. So you would play an animation, you would make them teleport or do something. But for me, I'm just going to destroy actor like that. So now we have a very basic enemy that will take damage and then be destroyed, basically, and it will look like that. So let's put one in the world and then enemy. And that. So we need to just make sure that we're hitting the enemy. Let's do that. Let's aim at the enemy so we're not actually hurting it. So the capsule, we need to check the collision. Custom, so we're ignoring the trace so we need to do a block on that. Now we can try. So now we're hitting, which is good. The next thing will be then to apply the damage from the weapons. So to do that, we want to go to our weapon base. On the trace attack here, let's just pull it off. We can break that and then we can do a branch for if we actually hit something. So if we don't hit anything, we're just going to remove the ammo. If we do hit something, we want to check if the hit actor implements the interface of enemy. Horror enemy. And a branch. And if it does, or if it doesn't, we just go back into removing the clip. We just carry on. Nothing happened. It does happen. From the hit actor, we want to pull off and we can do damage. Take damage. And then the attack originator will be the owner of the child, the weapon. So we can put the player reference into that. The damage is going to come from this damage float, like this. We can put that in and then save. So if we have, for example, a shotgun, and we say the damage for that is going to be 15. And just to verify, what we'll do is every time we take damage, we're going to print string here. And we're going to print how much damage we've taken. So let's try it. So if we shotgun. So we did 15 damage, it looked like, and then the actor died. Let's check. Test enemy. Enemy health. Oh, the enemy health. Oh, that's why. We've set the enemy health to 0 by default. That's not good. So before we test, we should hook this back up. So actually, we'll remove the clip and then remove the attack. But now if we come here, equip the shotgun. So we can bang, 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 Taking a lot. There we go. Now it's destroyed. That's just a very basic way of doing the enemy. The next thing will be for showing how to pick up weapons and actually add them to the inventory. So this, for example, is just setting it by force. But if you're using an inventory system that you don't start with the shotgun, for example, you want to be able to swap between them. And so what we can do is we can set this up first. So weapon inventory, we do get. Now we know that the shotgun is on index number 1. Now remember, when you're dealing with arrays, that the 0 is a number. It's not like a normal. It's 0 is the first slot of an index. So the shotgun, even though it's on the second in the list here, it would be number 2, like this. But what happens if I press the button? I don't have the shotgun in my inventory, and I press the button. We don't want it to equip the weapon. We want to make sure that we have it. So what we can do is the weapon index at the slot, we can do a equals, and then we can just branch like this. So if the weapon index has nothing in it, like the slot is empty, what we can do then is we can just print if it is empty. Or to make this easier, we can do a not equal, which is exclamation mark equal. So if it's not, if the weapon inventory is not equal, so there's nothing, there is something in it, true, we would then grab the weapon and then set child actor class to the shotgun. Or because we know what the weapon is going to be in there, we can do that, which will set it to whatever's in there. If it's false, we can do like a print string test and say, you do not have the weapon. So now if we try and we press number 2, you do not have the weapon. So the next thing is, how do we get the weapon? Will show just a simple walk over an object to pick it up for this, but you can use the logic for whichever way. Like you go over the top of an object, press a button, play an animation, pick the object up, or you go into your inventory, or you do something, or you craft it, or whatever. So what we'll do is we'll just make a simple pickup into a folder, and we'll call it BP underscore pickup base, because why not? We'll create a base of this. So what we want to do is in here, we want to add a new variable. We can call it weapon type. And weapon type. And then we can assign this to shotgun for this default one. We can add a via collision to it, just to make it. Let's actually make this like this, and then 64, and we'll do this visible, hidden in game. No, so we can actually see what we're doing with it. And I'll drag it into the world like there. So what we want to do is actor begin overlap. Other act will equals get player character. If it's true, then we will get the weapon type, and we will actually, we need to open we can make a new interface. So we can call this one B. Do I have one already? I do, but I'll make a new one. In here, we can create a new interface. I like using interfaces. They're nice. BPI player. We'll call this horror player. And then BPI horror player. There we go. So in here, what we can do is pick up weapon. Like that. Or even better, we could do pick up object. And then we could make a enumerator. We call this e_pick_up type. And here we could do weapon L. Oh. Oops. Ammo. Just as an example. And then in the I've lost myself. In pickup object, we can add it as a e_pickup. Oh my god, I've got him twice. Horror pickup type, there we go. Horror pickup type. We can call this pickup type. Like that. So now on this overlap, what we want to do is want to actually, other actor, we can do pickup object message to the player. No, that's the wrong one. Sorry, pickup horror player. There we go. Like this. And we need another one of these. Need the weapon. We'll just do that. Weapon for now. So if you were going to do like health or something, you could do this like object value, just so I can show how it would work. And then okay, so we're picking up a weapon. We're going to pick up the shotgun. The object value is 0 because we don't. Oh well, weapon type we can put into there actually. The object value is currently 0 because it's not a health pickup or something. So what you would do next is once you pick the object up, or you've told the player you're picking this object up, we'll do a self check. We'll do an is valid, and then we will do the same as the enemy. We'll do destroy actor. That's just so we get rid of it. Now on the player, we can call that interface, pickup object. Pickup type, we could do a switch. And then for the, so you could basically have one main pickup base and then do child actors of it. And then if it's an ammo item, you can increase the ammo here. If it's a weapon, do this. So for the weapon, so what we're going to do now is we can grab the weapon inventory and we can set array element. We can plug the weapon in there. The index, we're going to pull off and we can do a select. The index for this one can be the weapon. And then we can assign which inventory slots each weapon will take up. So pistol will go 0, shotgun will go 1. And, well, these are in the wrong order, basically. But pistol, 0, shotgun, 1, melee can go 2. This item array, we can do a select here. Now we don't want to connect it up yet. We want to right click these options, change pin type here. And it needs to be an actor class reference. Oh, actually it would be a BP underscore weapon, just to make sure it's correct. Base retro class reference. Now that can slot into there. The index will be the weapon. And we can now assign what will actually go into those slots. So shotgun, we can just do the shotgun because that's what we have at the moment. Okay, so this will now pick up the weapon and add it to our inventory. So we can try this out and then we can do a print string here. Weapon, we have shotgun. So if I go now, so press 2, you do not have the weapon. If I go to pick this one up, you do not have the weapon. Why? Why is that doing that? Oh, there's my mistake. So I've made my own mistake. I've assigned shotgun here to 1 and also 1 here. Like this. So if I now do it and I come along here and grab it, we have the shotgun. And now we can do our attacks. So that's one way of picking them up like that. So what we could do instead is we could make a new copy of the weapon inventory like this. We can assign the slots here. So these are always going to be the same. So shotgun will always be on index 1. We can do a copy of this. We can get rid of this and we can get rid of this. And we can pull off here and do select, not select int. We want a select here. And then we can put that into the weapon. And then we can assign the numbers here. So we know the shotgun will always be 1. So do like that, 0, 1, 2. So if I put that into there, the index is going to be that index there. And then let's see now what happens with this. So you do not have the weapon. We go over here. We have the shotgun. Nice. That's a bit of an easier way of doing it. Now we can basically set the weapons in this weapon slot so that you will have always have a set slot to go into. So the next part we are going to do is actually, let's close these. So currently we have to sort of struggle to aim at the enemy because we don't have any like sort of auto aim towards the enemy. So the next thing will be to do that. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to use pawn sensing, which is normally used for AIs, but we can use it as well as players. So I'm going to use it on myself here. We're going to add pawn sensing. And it just means that we can track where things are in front of us, like an AI would. We want to, on the right hand side here, I'm going to set my sight radius to around 4,000 and untick only sends players. The angle I'm going to set around, I said 35, so it's a sort of cone in front of the player, not too small. Okay, so what we want to do now is pawn sensing on cpawn. We're going to do a sequence. Let's do sequence. And we're going to do a cast to the enemy. Now, our enemy is called... Well, actually, what we can do palm, and we can do does implement interface, and we can do BPI underscore enemy instead of casting. We can do a branch. If it's true, we can promote the pawn here to sensed enemy. Then retriggerable delay, and we want that just slightly longer than our pawn, how long we keep the sense for. And we're going to remove that from the sensed enemy. So we're going to basically look at it. If we're not looking at it, like still looking at it, if we've looked away, we're going to drop the sensed enemy. And just make sure that the delay is slightly more here on this retriggerable than it is on the actual pawn sensing here. So the next thing will be for the aim. We're going to come here. We're going to move this down. So what we're going to do next is, I just noticed I made a mistake here. This is not enemy, it's BPI underscore horror enemy. So make sure you're checking the correct interface if you're using interfaces for this. So next we want to do a get, and we can convert to a validated get by right clicking it. So if sensed enemy is valid, what we want to do is we want to grab actor location of ourselves. We want to grab the sensed enemy's actor location like this. We want to find the look at rotation like so. Target. Get player controller. Set control rotation is valid. We want to set the control rotation so we will look at the enemy. So let's try this out. So if I go here and I right click, I snap towards the enemy. Like that. Quite hard to see. I should have an arrow. Let's do that so you can see it. If I come into this camera, you can see. So if I stand looking up towards it, I'm aiming. Or if I look near, I like snap. It's quite hard to see. The range could be higher actually. Let's try it with a higher pawn sensing range. This one. Say 65. So there we go. So there's like a sharp snap towards it. But it's a very sharp turn. So if you want it more smooth, what we can do is we can actually do a timeline, and we can call that look enemy look. Let's do 0.5 on the float track. The first key can be 0, and the last key can be 1 and 1, and then we can highlight. Oh no, 1 and 0. No, 1. 0.5, and then we can highlight and press 1, so it's a smooth. We can do a blurb like rotator. We can put that in there, and then this valid we can play. And play from start. The update, set control rotation. The A node will be the find the lookout rotation. And the A node will be a get actor rotation. Like this. So move this up a little bit here. Like that. And then we plug the alpha in here where it says new track 0. So just to avoid issues with this, what you want to do is shortest path, the is not valid, put into stop, and then add another is valid just here. Because if you don't and you actually look away from the character, what will happen is you will lose the sensed enemies reference, and then this will just error out. Let me just double check. So we aim, yeah, let's do this. So if I check it now, I go pick the shotgun up. I have the shotgun, I press 2. I can look around, nothing's happening. Oh. Shooting her. Dead. So now if we check, no errors. So let me just check my notes. I don't think I've missed anything. So if I go over everything we've done, we have the weapon system with the ammo and the reloading and the picking up guns. The way you actually equip the weapons via this method. We have aiming. Oh, yeah, we've done this. Aiming. Reload weapon. So we can only reload. No ammo. Oh, there's a bit of an error. Do not have the weapon. No ammo. Pick up the weapon. Reload. We don't need to reload. Fantastic. This is how we pick up the weapons. We've got, yeah, I think we've got everything I plan to cover. I hope this has been helpful. Like I say, I want to make some longer tutorials now. I want to do actual series. So I think the next will be a first person horror type thing. My goal with it is that you can jump in at any part and just pick what you want out of it. You don't have to watch the whole series. If you just want to learn one thing, you can just take one thing from it. That's what my hope is. We'll see how that is. There might be some overlaps. But I hope this has been useful. If you have any questions or any requests or anything, please let me know. And I hope you'll tune in for the next videos. Right, goodbye.